Hey folks, welcome back, or of course, welcome to Lone Pine Tarot if this is your first visit here. Either way though, thank you so much for choosing to join me for our pick a card reading today. Now today's topic is actually a bit of a remix on an old one. There was a video I did probably over a year ago now that was a message that will empower you, and I thought I love that topic. Haven't done it in a while, let's revisit it again. So that's our topic for today, is a message that will empower you. Without further ado, let us choose our pile leaders to pick said messages with, though. So calling on Spirit for our wonderful community, for their highest, best good, help us choose the pile leaders. Thank you. We're using an animal deck today, and I already know this one says pile 1 to me, so we'll pick that for pile 1. Maybe this one for pile 2. And as for pile 3, I'm feeling this one right here. Okay, and let's unveil the animals together. So pile 1 over here on the left, your leader today is the wild boar. Okay. Pile number 2 in the middle, your pile leader animal today is, oh how cute, we have the panda. And last but not least, for wonderful pile number 3 over here on the right, your animal / leader today is, ooh, we have an Australian animal, the kangaroo. Wonderful. So quick refresher, pile 1 is the wild boar, pile 2 is the panda, and pile 3 is the kangaroo. Though as I always say, you are perfectly welcome to pause on this part of the reading if you need more time to decide what pile you would like read for you. If you're new to pick a card readings and you're like, Lone Pine, help me out here, what do I do? I always suggest one of 2 methods. Number 1, close your eyes, take a deep breath, ask your spirit guides, please give me the word of the animal that you would like me to pick today. Or my other personal favorite is spirit guides, give me a number 1 through 3 and I'll pick by the number based on what you say. So that's my recommendation. But whatever your method, when you are ready, you can drop down to the description box below, find the timestamp for your pile, and I will see you in our chat about your empowering message for today. See you in your reading, everyone. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 1. Welcome today to your pick a card reading empowering message. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to wild boar as your animal / pile leader for your message today. Now, I didn't read the text underneath each pile leader, so I will do that for you right now. Whatever tradition or others expect of you, only to yourself be true. So keep that message in mind as we look at your other cards. And actually, I'm going to put your pile leader up towards the top today just to make sure we have enough room for everything. To start, we're going to draw it from the oracle cards instead of my usual order of tarot at first. So let's do that right now. Calling on Spirit for the highest best good of pile 1 today for their empowering message. What would you like to tell them? Thank you. Okay, there is the L key oracle. Then we're going to use the Hero's Journey oracle. Okay. Feel this one calling. And then last but not least, we have the Lantern oracle today. My favorite oracle deck of all time, at least so far. I always feel like it's kind of highly underrated, pile 1. I feel like I don't see people use the Lantern oracle a lot, but I love it. So, and it is fantastic for this kind of message. It's a very empowering deck, so. Alright, I'm feeling drawn to this one. Let's unveil those to start. So, from your oracle cards, you received, of course, the wild boar. But from L key, we have She Who Waits with Manara, patience, waiting, and determination. So it could be a message regarding something you've been waiting for or something that you've had to be very patient about. But let's see the other messages first. We have from the Hero's Journey. Ooh, very vibrant. Number 16, you're in great company. Pull back to propel forward. Almost like how we pull back on an arrow upon a bow before we release it so that it can go further, even farther. Pull back to propel forward. What a cool message. Okay. And then last but not least, from the Oracle deck cards at least, we have 16, Melting Mask. Allow your spirit self to shine through the many roles you fulfill. We have some shared colors, especially between your Melting Mask and you're in great company. Especially the blue and the red and the pinks. So that makes me think of a message regarding self-love with the pink, calming with the blue, and then let's grab your tarot spread. I feel like, though, one symbolic synchronicity so far with this pile 1 is a message regarding, I don't know if it's like you're trying to hide something from other people or like you feel like you've had to hide something from other people. I say that because you have the Melting Mask card as well as the Boar card, which speaks of like, you know, being true to yourself, just like the Melting Mask does. And maybe you've had to do it for a reason of like you didn't want to show who you truly were because you were afraid that it would like put off something that you're trying to wait for or that you're working towards, hence the patience with the Manara card. That is what I'm seeing, at least in terms of the symbolic synchronicity type messages to start. Yeah, oh, and then we have the Two of Pentacles. Okay. The Full Reverse, the Two of Pentacles. Then we have the Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, I think a lot of you it's related to your work too, because we have a lot of Pentacles cards so far, especially that Eight of Pentacles being the, what I call the Heart of the Matter card being the third one. Something that you're hard at work on. The Five of Cups or Vessels. Yeah, and then last but not least, we have the, I'm going to choose this one. The Two of Wands or Sticks reversed. Yeah, it's like you feel as if you have to hide something about yourself in order to go forward or to like not impede your progress on a goal that you've been working on or something to that extent, because as I said, we have so many of those synchronicities around, you know, don't hide your true self, you know, be true to yourself, don't hide behind a mask, those types of messages, especially with your Boar and the Melting Mask card. But on top of that, too, we have with Manara, you know, it's like she who waits, she who's been patient, she's determined, and even like her particular picture, so she seems like she's kind of hiding almost in a shadowy area. You do see some light on her face, and of course, too, with like the butterfly in her hand glowing there, but it's like she's not necessarily forthcoming about what she's waiting for or what she wants. Now, I do see maybe a bit of advice from the You're in Great Company card as a part of your empowering message that you maybe don't have to hide who you are so much in this situation. You maybe don't have to wear as much of a mask. And then too, especially with the Melting Mask card over here, which I'll unveil a little bit, as it says, you know, allow your spirit self to shine through the many roles or like masks that you fulfill. Yeah. If there was a first piece of advice, it would be maybe don't hide yourself so much. And I think the reason why Spirit is saying that is because I think you could make greater progress if you were to show more of what you're truly looking for or show more of who you are. You know, of course, sometimes we naturally come across situations in life where, you know, we're in a certain group or a certain workplace or a certain environment, you know, what have you, where we feel as if, well, if we're honest and true about what we really want or who we really are, we're going to get rejected. Okay. But sometimes that really is the key that opens the door, pile number 1, towards what we've been patiently waiting for or what we're seeking, is being willing to be vulnerable about, you know, what is it we're really here for? Or what is it that we really want? Or who are we really deeper at our core? It's that vulnerability that allows others to connect with us to greater extents because they can see themselves reflected within your story of what it is you're trying to do or what it is that you're trying to accomplish, or even just you as a person, even if it's not necessarily a goal involved, pile number 1. It could be you just as a person. You know, maybe you've been looking for a friend group, you know, maybe having left a more toxic one, or maybe, you know, it could even be with like a romantic partnership. You're trying to look for a partner that connects with you on a greater level compared to the one that you had before, or, you know, you're getting back into the dating game after, you know, maybe taking a break, or, and for those of you where that's your situation, especially if it's friends or like, say, a romantic partner that you've been looking for, it's very possible that, you know, you're afraid to open up because of that fear of vulnerability. I do see that, of course, with the Fool reversed in the very beginning, as I call the Inciting Incident card. That can be a card of being wary of taking risks. You want to start something new, because the Fool is the card of new adventures, new journeys, new beginnings after having left somewhere else, or wanting to leave somewhere else at least. But reversed, it's like, I don't know. I feel like if I take a step, that's a bit of a risk. What if I jump off, a cliff, or like metaphorically speaking, of course, not literally, you know what I mean, but pile number 1. But it's that fear of the unknown, basically, just to summarize it, having used the cliff as the example, as the symbol of the unknown. Also too, like, say if it was a workplace as well, that you're looking for a better workplace, or it could also be, you are currently at a workplace, but you still haven't unveiled much about yourself or what you really are seeking there. Like, maybe you're afraid to say, well, actually I might want to move to this department, or I actually kind of want this role instead of the one that I'm currently in. Something along those lines, pile number 1. Whatever it is for your situation, as I always say, kind of extrapolate it to how it resonates with you. You're being encouraged to drop that mask and be true to yourself. And the reason why is because, as I said, well, number 1, I think what I'm hearing intuitively is that it will help you get to the goal or the destination or the thing that you're seeking faster or in a more efficient way. But on top of that, it's because Spirit wants you to be recognized for something that you've worked very hard for. That is that energy, especially of the 2 of Pentacles and the 8 of Pentacles right after the Fool reversed. 2 of Pentacles, pile number 1, is a card of balancing things, being able to juggle things, especially when it comes to career and finances. And the 8 of Pentacles, pile number 1, is about having been really hard at work on something, just like in this particular depiction. It's this little girl who is watering flowers in a garden, but you can see all around her, people have been hard at work, probably including herself, growing a bunch of other things, cabbage in one place, looks like maybe, I don't know what the other plants are, though. There's some flowers as well, though, too. Some carrots, etc. She's been hard at work. And she deserves to be recognized for it, just like you deserve to be recognized for your hard work, pile number 1. Maybe you're a little bit shy about bragging about yourself. Maybe you're a bit too humble, which is a great thing to be, pile 1. It's good to be humble, to have that humility, because you don't want to come off as like a braggart. But I think in your case, your empowering message here also twofold is Spirit saying maybe you need to kind of tout your skills and the things that you've done a bit more, pile 1. Otherwise, sometimes people just don't recognize them. Not so much as it's not like sometimes people don't recognize things that you've done just because, there might be like an ulterior motive. But I think most of the time, assuming best intentions, people don't notice things about, your accomplishments. And like just in general, not just you. But they don't notice other people's accomplishments just because they're so busy and like tunnel focused on their own life and what they're doing and what their accomplishments are and what their worries are, etc. You know what I mean, pile 1, that kind of situation. So I think you need to toot your own horn a little bit more is what I'm hearing. And that, pile 1, will help you in areas of your life where both you have maybe some feeling of sorrow, especially with the 5 of Cups. Okay. That is, as in the 4th position here, both, sometimes I read it as a near future card. Sometimes I also read it as an advice card. It's kind of like a little guideline cheat sheet that Spirit gives you for your path ahead, because it is in that near future position. And so that's what the 5 of Cups represents, is this sorrow or a hardship of some sort, just like the robin is upset because, the snake is getting near its eggs. Like, I don't want the snake going after these things that I worked really hard on raising and keeping warm, and, maybe they're just about to hatch. And so that's another thing, too, is maybe you're just at the cusp of something about to hatch, pile number 1. And so this is like an extra special emphasis from Spirit saying you need to say something more about something that you've worked on or what you've been really, nose to the grindstone, blood, sweat, and tears doing, because otherwise you might find that you will feel like the sorrow of not being recognized. Okay, so just don't be afraid to be like, hey, here's me, this is what I do, this is what I'm great at. And then you might find more, like applause. You might find more positive reaction and also opportunities here too, given to you because you have brought it to other people's attention. You brought them out of that tunnel vision focus of, them just focusing like their own things, okay? Sometimes we need to take people by the chin and go, hey, look this way, just like you always see in movies when one character's trying to get another character to notice something and they put their hand to their jaw and they like swivel their head around like that. that's kind of what I'm saying for you, pile number 1. Also, too, we have the Two of Wands reversed as the outcome / also kind of an advice card, especially with an empowering message reading. And the Two of Wands reversed is indicative of a time where we feel like we're unable to make plans, or we've been trying to make plans and they've been messy. I think that's maybe part of what, for those of you who like specifically have a goal, part of your goal isn't maybe necessarily to get to like an actual endpoint yet. Your goal right now might be like, I want something solid to actually base my plans on something for. Okay, so that might be, say, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like say if there's a promotion is opening up at your work soon because someone retired, and you're kind of waiting on maybe some subtle feedback from, say, a manager or other people around you, like, oh, hey, pile 1, this thing is opening up. It would be really great if you would apply for that. You might be waiting for that green light to say kind of socially that it's acceptable for you to say, apply to that promotion, you know what I mean? And so that Two of Wands reverse energy would be like you sitting there looking at your watch, waiting, okay, when am I going to get the go-ahead? When am I going to get the green light, And that's the thing, pile number 1. The Spirit is saying here is that you're not going to get that green light necessarily unless you put yourself out there in the first place. And then other people will look, just like in movies, turn their heads, and they'll be like, oh, actually, pile 1 might be really great for whatever this thing is, this promotion, or, it could also be moving to a different department, or it doesn't necessarily have to be like work related, although I do see that for a lot of you because of the Abundance of Pentacles cards. But as I always say, apply it to the situation that you're feeling is resonating with this reading. Let me look at the other cards. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. There is another aspect of your reading where, and this is the metaphor I used earlier with the pull back to propel forward. As I said, it's almost like when you pull back on a bow with an arrow in order to make the arrow go farther, because the further back you pull, the more snapback you'll have in terms of it propelling forward faster or more accurately. There's something here in this situation, too, where you pulling back in a way might also garner the attention that you're looking for or help you further towards the goal that you're trying to achieve. And in this case, I would almost say pulling back might be, for those of you that are trying to get people's attention on something, pulling back for you in that situation would be getting their attention by withdrawing a little bit, which I know sounds like the antithesis to what I was just telling you. But sometimes in order to take people by the jaw and turn their heads towards something, sometimes absence is the hand that will turn their face. Okay. Like, they'll notice, oh, pile 1 hasn't been talking about this thing recently, or, oh, pile 1 hasn't been as present recently with this. I wonder what's going on. And then they get out of their tunnel vision, they look, and they're like, oh, this thing's been going on over here. And sometimes that's the way that you can get people's attention on something, is through absence rather than being more in their face. So that might be one way that it manifests, but that doesn't necessarily mean, too, that you don't also, maybe drop the mask a little bit more or be more forward about what it is that you're looking for, or what you want, because both pulling back but then also dropping the mask might be a really good combination piece of advice here from Spirit. Okay. And then, too, with the Boar, something about tradition. Whatever tradition or others expect of you, only to yourself be true. Oh, that's another thing, pile 1. If in this situation you're finding that maybe part of the problem too is that people are trying to slot you into a certain role that you don't want, maybe just because it's that old logical fallacy of like, well, that's the way it's always been done, so we're going to do it that way or whatever, or there's something here with tradition, so keep that in mind as I say this. But if they're trying to slot you into a role that doesn't necessarily fit with your goals, that's another way that maybe you're being encouraged to drop the mask, so to speak, or to put yourself out there more and being like, hey, no, that's not what I want. I don't want to do this thing that's being put upon me, or as like the Wild Boar card says, what others expect of me. I want to do this thing over here. Because I think part of the situation might be that they're not necessarily noticing. I mean, once again, it doesn't feel like an ulterior motive reason. It's not like they're trying to not give you what you want or not help you on the path towards what you want. It's more like they just don't, intuitively I'm feeling it's like they just don't notice, or like they're just not, like they're oblivious. It's not so much that it's a malice related thing. They're just not looking, or they're not like, oh, well, maybe pile 1 wants to do this thing instead, or, etc. You know what I mean? Pile number 1. Yeah, so be true to yourself. Number 1, Don't be afraid to use absence as a way of getting people's attention on this thing or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish here. Well, number 3, too, part of the empowering message is that you deserve whatever it is that you're looking for because of your hard work. I do see that, especially because of the 8 of Pentacles being the heart of the matter card for you, pile number 1. So also, if some of you are feeling like, I don't know, do I really deserve this? Do I really, maybe some of your reluctance to come forward about what it is that you want is out of the feeling of, well, what if I come forward and they say, well, you're not worth that thing, or if I come forward and I say I want this thing, they might say, well, oh, you're not good enough, so it might be kind of a self-esteem thing as well. So in that case, pile number 1, if you feel that part is resonating, that's spirit basically saying, no, you are good enough for this thing. Don't let fear or a feeling that you're not good enough hold you back. Okay? Don't hold back. Be forward. Be in people's face. Politely, of course. You don't want to be annoying. That pile number 1. But be in people's face where you can politely to say, here I am. This is what I want. This is what I'm going for. What can we do? Okay? So confidence and boldness and straightforwardness are going to be your friends in this situation. So rely on those things to get it what it is that you're looking for. And that will help you find the fruits of the labor that you've very obviously been putting into whatever this is, pile number 1, especially with that 8 of Pentacles energy. Don't be afraid to take the risk either. I know it's scary, especially if you're used to being really humble and not putting yourself out there. Take the risk anyways, okay? I know, because I came forward with the full reverse in the beginning. I'm like, they don't want to take a risk. They're afraid that they're going to, as I said before, jump off a cliff. But you're not going to jump off a cliff, I promise, metaphorically speaking. You're going to be fine. Okay. You will be rewarded heavily. And that, too, you might also find as well with the You're in Great Company card. I thought about this earlier. I didn't mention it yet, so thank God I remembered. But with the You're in Great Company card, what that tells me, too, as a tarot reader, is I think you're going to find you have more allies in this than you do. I think you might believe that no one's going to be on your side or no one's going to agree with this thing, whatever it is that you've been waiting patiently for or working towards. But as You're in Great Company implies, you actually might have more people that are like-minded than you expect, as long as you let it be known that this is the thing that you want. Okay, that's the mechanism or the key within the door that will open up, oh, actually people agree with me. Oh, that makes me feel more confident too. That also can boost your self-esteem too when you find that you are in great company. And they might also be helping you with planning towards this thing. Because I see that too with the 2 of Wands. Right now it's in reversed, but when you look at it upright, pile number 1, you can see 2 people are helping each other to try to navigate this path. So I think you might also find that you have more teamwork. You might have more people helping you with planning, should you be straightforward about it, okay? You've done the work. You've balanced things really well. You've been nose to the grindstone about it, especially with the 2 and the 8 of Pentacles, as I said. So don't let yourself fall into the trap of getting less than you deserve just because you're afraid of putting yourself out there, okay? So that is your wonderful, empowering message today from Spirit, pile number 1. I hope that, number 1, it helped you. You feel helped. That's what I care about most with these readings, but of course that it resonated with your situation and that you liked the reading itself. If so, here's my usual YouTube spiel. You know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, all those good things, and thank you so much if you choose to do so. And as we say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, pile number 1. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 2. Welcome today to your empowering message reading. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the panda as your animal/pile leader for your message. Now, I didn't read the text beneath the card in the intro, so I will do so now. It says, enjoy the sanctuary of solitude to regain self-esteem and tranquility. So keep that in mind as we peruse your other cards. Now, first, we're going to start with actually oracle cards today. We're going to switch it up from my usual schedule here. So calling on Spirit for a wonderful pile number 2 for their empowering message today. What is it what you like to tell them? Thank you. Okay, well, this one is quite prominent, so we're going to take that one. And then we have my favorite oracle deck of all time, at least so far, the Lantern Oracle. which I also used in the last version of the empowering message reading that I mentioned in the intro. So I thought, why not use it again? Okay, that one is prominent. We'll take it. And then last but not least, we have the Hero's Journey Oracle for today. And I believe this one is calling your name. So let's look at your oracle cards to begin. First up, from the Elky Oracle, we have, purple. She who thrives with orchid, flourish, prosper, and blossom. And then, I forgot. I'm also going to put your pile leader actually up here today instead, just to make some more room for things. So we have your panda and we have orchid. Then next up, from the Hero's Journey Oracle, we have number 45, Divine Drunkenness. Surrender yourself to spiritual reverie. You have a lot of cards already forming a theme here, pile 2. A lot about taking a break, a lot about sanctuary, flourishing, prospering, enjoying something, especially with the Divine Drunkenness having the word reverie in it. I almost wonder if this might turn into a blessing reading, but let's look at your other cards to be sure. So from the Lantern Oracle, we have number 11. Look at all these metaphors with gardens and flowers today. We have Metamorphosis. Power and strength lie within our surrender to change. All right. Beautiful messages so far. Let's grab your tarot spread. And as I draw those cards, we'll see if anything else pops out at me just from your oracles. Yeah, lots about gardens and blossoming, sanctuary and reverie. I mean, even the name orchid is like a flower, so there is number 1, number 2. I'm actually going to take these two together because they're seeming to want to come out together. Number 4, and I'm feeling this one, number 5. Yeah, I'm still feeling like it might be a blessing reading. So we have, the 8 of Wands reversed, or sticks in this particular deck, can indicate a slowness of some sort, something going a bit slower than we expected, or something slowing down, hence maybe all the messages you're getting about a sanctuary or like reverie of some sort. We have the Wheel of Fortune reversed, okay. That is in the recent past position, so yeah, I think you've been struggling with something recently, pile 2, but I get the feeling as well that this might turn around, and that might be part of the reverie coming. And then we have, 2 of Cups reversed as the heart of the matter. Disharmony with something that might be the source of what the, bad situation has been recently. Maybe you're still dealing with it now, hence the present position of the 2 of Cups reversed. And let's keep going. We have the Death card reversed. Speaking of the Metamorphosis card, Death reversed can indicate advice on perhaps needing to change something as well. And last but not least, we have the 5 of Wands, someone biking through, it looks like after a forest fire. So once again, we have that imagery of like something growing or changing after like the quote unquote death of something, because literally that's what death means, reversed or even upright, but it's in different aspects, pile number 2. Like a situation where something bad happened or like something negative has been going on. It might not just be one event, pile 2. It could also be in general, like life has not been going very well recently, especially with the 8 of Wands reversed and the Wheel of Fortune reversed in the past position cards. I always call the first card the inciting incident. Second one is like the recent past. And what that tells me as a tarot reader is that the situation has been plagued by a feeling of, okay, things are going slower than I want them to, and I feel like I just have really bad luck. That's what those 2 cards mean in those positions for me, pile number 2. So what that tells me is that, I don't know, like, you've been waiting for something and it's just not going fast enough. That might be part of the misfortune that I'm seeing in your past here that's leading up to this, as well as this feeling of like, it's not necessarily things in your control because of the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune always speaks to me as a card of fate, as well as a card of, like, this is like the universe's mechanisms moving. So it's, say it's a job search, for example. That's one example coming forward, at least mine to me right now. And that might mean in your situation, pile number 2, that, like, job offers are not coming in. It feels like every time you get rejected, it was something out of your control. That might not apply to all of you with that job search example, but I just wanted to use it as to illustrate. Or, you know, same thing too. Maybe you've been working hard at work at something and it's just not coming to fruition as fast as you want it to be, and it just feels like really bad luck. Okay, it's that kind of general overall feeling. I will tell you this though, pile number 2. I do see change coming. Okay, it will require a bit of a tweak on your part because you do have a lot of cards here that impart advice. And what that tweak on your part will be is related to a change that you need to make. That's why you got both the Death card reversed as well as Metamorphosis. Literally, it means the same dang thing. You got basically 2 of the same meaning cards, one from tarot, one from an oracle deck, okay? We'll talk about more what the change needs to be, but I think, too, just still talking about your current situation and what's led up to this, we have, with the 2 of Cups reversed, that's indicative of a situation where we feel at disharmony with, especially other people, because it's a cup suit card. It could be that maybe, like, you're finding disharmony with, say it is a job search, like, and it just feels like no place that you've been applying feels right, at least to you at a soul level or emotionally or mentally. Or it could also be that maybe some of your, like, relationships have been kind of rocky recently too. Maybe it's not just job or, like, goal-oriented things. It could also be related to your relationships that it feels like, oh, like, things just aren't going so great. Because the 2 of Cups can also be a relationship-related card pile too. So lots of things going on. My condolences for what it is you've been going through, because I can tell from this spread here as a tarot reader, like, it hasn't been great. But as I said, I'm happy to report to you that better things are coming. You have a lot of cards about flourishing. That was the orchid. Something blossoming, something blooming soon. You have the panda, which, of course, as we recall, was all about sanctuary and finding tranquility. And then Divine Drunkenness, too, is a really positive card because it talks about, like, surrendering to spiritual reverie. And especially, too, the way that this card depicts the spiritual reverie. It's almost like she's at repose and rest. Like, she's finally getting a rest from something after having been really tired. Like, oh, I can relax now. I can have a glass of wine or whatever. Like, you know, whatever you choose to do in terms of what drunkenness spiritually means to you. But, in any case, it's a time of spiritual reverie, a time of rest after having been really tired, not being able to set down everything and have some fun, okay? And especially, too, I didn't even mention this yet too much, but in the 5 of Wands, as I said, it's like a forest after a forest fire. It's like there's this disaster that just swept through. Like, things feel like they just kept falling apart. But if you do choose change, you can turn this into a positive pile number 2. Or in terms of this reading, it's really, as I said, maybe a blessing reading of relief coming after, of sanctuary, reverie, things finally blossoming again, which is interesting too, because even when you look at the Death card, I'll hold it up right, it's Death Valley, which is literally like a lot of desert type areas after there's rain. What seems like it had been a completely desolate, dry place, a bunch of flowers and different brush blooms. Okay, so wherever you're at right now that feels like a desert, pile 2, that is what will bloom after you enact the change. Now, the change, because I bet you a lot of you are like, well, what is the change? What do I need to change to help me get past this particular desert of my life, so to speak? Let's see here, because we have the 5 of Wands as the outcome, or as a piece of advice card too. And the 5 of Wands is about competition. It's about butting heads with others. It's about usually more like lighthearted conflict. I'm actually going to draw some extra clarification cards for you, especially pile 2, because I want to ask Spirit, what's the change needed to bring about that flourishing after the metaphorical desert that's been your landscape here for a while, I think. Spirit, for their empowering message, what change do you recommend that would help them get to the blossoming flourishing that they need? The peace and tranquility. Excuse me. What do they need to change? The Ace of Pentacles. Something about opportunities regarding work or finances or our resources. Then we have the Hierophant reversed. Yep. Okay, that makes sense. I'll explain in a second here, pile number 2. And then we have another ace. Look at that. But we have the Ace of Swords reversed. Okay, so pile 2. My light bulb moment, and where I said that makes sense, is with the Hierophant reversed. The Hierophant reversed, pile 2, often represents a time where tradition and doing the things the way that they've always been done isn't the best way to go forward. I think whatever is happening is related to something that needs to change, and the reason why it's not changing is because you or like circumstances involved keep trying to do things the same way as they have been done before. It's one of those situations I almost feel like where, I mean, maybe it's not necessarily that like what you've been doing has been bad, or that like tradition in this case is bad, but they're saying that the best route forward would be to try something new, or to try something that's a bit avant-garde from what you were doing before, okay? Especially where it intersects with financial or like resource or career opportunities, hence the Ace of Pentacles, as that's what it represents. And then 2, we have literally with like the Ace of Swords reversed, which is kind of a repeat of what I was saying with the Hierophant, but with the specificity of it regarding like needing a new idea or a new direction mentally with something. You're getting entrenched, I think, in this, well, this is the way it's always been done, so this is the way I have to do it. And what that keeps doing, pile number 2, is putting you in this rut, or this desert, so to speak, as I was using before as the metaphor of no change. Well, it's one of those things, pile number 2. Well, of course there's no change, because nothing's being done to change what you're trying to do, I guess, necessarily. I mean, you know your situation better than me, pile number 2, but based on these cards, that's what Spirit is saying, is if you keep trying the same path that didn't work before, well, of course, it's probably not going to work again this time. But if you choose a new path, let go of tradition, and try new ideas, especially with the Ace of Swords reversed, that will afford you the financial resource, career, etc., material thing, opportunity that you're looking for. And that, my friend, will bring you to that abundance that we were talking about, if you're willing to make that change, okay? Also, I didn't mention this before, but I will bring it up now. Sometimes the Hierophant reversed, pile 2, also represents authority failing us. I think another thing that might be out of your control in this situation, because it's not 100% your fault, pile 2. I don't want you to walk away from this reading being like, well, you know, Lone Pine is telling me that I didn't change and it's all my fault. It's not all your fault, pile 2. But like, as I was saying with the Hierophant reverse, sometimes it can be interpreted as like an authority has failed us too. And in that case, yes, that's not your fault. But it is within our power, if an authority is failing us, to try to walk around that authority and make our way beyond the obstacle that we know probably won't move, okay? It's like the equivalent of, you know, coming up across, like, say you're walking on a path and there's a rock wall in your way, pile 2. And tradition says, well, if I just keep walking into this stone wall, like maybe eventually if I keep walking into it, it'll break and I can go through. But what Spirit is saying is, okay, yeah, you can do that, but you're not going to get results as fast as you want them to come around, hence like that 8 of Wands reversed in the very beginning. And you might eventually wear it down over time, okay, or whatever this obstacle is. Eventually you might get it out of the way. But you're not looking at the other opportunities to moving past this point that are within your reach. I mean, for example, maybe you look around and you're like, okay, well, wait a minute. I've been trying to beat my head through this stone wall to get forward. And then over here, I realize, oh, I could have just walked around it over here. So in that way, it might be circumventing this authority in terms of, you know, say Like one example might be you're looking for a job, pile number 2, and maybe it's this authority that's failing you, is people not giving you a fair chance when it comes to hiring, which is unfortunately very common these days. I've heard a lot of, things about the job market nowadays. Totally relatable. I'm sure everyone in the comments below could probably tell you a horror story about modern job searching, but sometimes in that case, for that example, pile 2, then the best thing would be to say, you know what? If no one is going to value me the way that I deserve to be valued, if no one is going to hire me, maybe what I need to do is try something new. Maybe what I need to do is maybe strike it out on my own, start my own business, try this career instead, or maybe like look in a different industry than maybe you've been trying to apply to jobs for. It's something along those lines. So just try something new. Try a new idea. That's what the Ace of Swords reversed with the Hierophant reversed represents, pile number 2. And I promise you, if you enact that change, that's where that opportunity you're looking for will come. That's where you'll find your sanctuary, the blooming and the blossoming after the desert, and the spiritual reverie we were talking about, that divine drunkenness. Okay? It just requires your willingness to change and try a new path. To look around and say, this isn't working. What else can I do? Okay? And that should set you on the right path. That should enact that mechanism of change that the universe will respond to you in kind with, okay, they tried something new. Here's where the opportunities over here. And sometimes, we're asked to take new paths and try the non-traditional thing, pile 2, because it's part of our life path. And that's what I'm hearing here for you, pile 2, is I'm getting a message here that it's almost related to like your life purpose. Like there's something at that different direction that you are being encouraged to take that is related to some lesson that you're supposed to learn, or like there's something there for you that's meant for you more than whatever might be waiting for you if you just stay on the same path that you're on right now, working and chipping away at that metaphorical stone wall. Okay? So that is what I recommend, or at least what Spirit recommends for you. Try that new path. All right? But also pat yourself on the back, because this has not been easy, I can tell you that. I mean, especially with your first cards, like in a Wheel of Fortune reversed in the recent past, things haven't been great. So pat yourself on the back for what you have been through and what you've endured. And just try something new, okay? Honor your skills and your abilities and what it is that you want by entertaining the new, okay? And you might find that your skills and who you are and what you bring to the table is valued more somewhere else. It's not that you inherently didn't have value, pile number 2. It's that where you have been looking to, for people to see that value or for that goal to come to fruition, it's just that they might not have had the ability to see that, okay? Or that particular quote-unquote metaphorical garden was maybe not the best place to plant the seed of the goal that you have in mind. Okay, so then the answer in that case is look for a different garden, better soil, or people that have a more keen eye for what it is that you bring to the table, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, that was your empowering message for today, pile number 2. I hope, of course, number 1, that it helped you. That's what I care about most of all. But also that you liked it and it resonated with your situation. And if so, my usual YouTube spiel, you know the drill by now. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you should you choose to do those things. And as is our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 2. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 3. Welcome to your empowering message today. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the kangaroo as your animal/pile leader for today. Now, I didn't read the text underneath the titles in the intro, so I will do that now for yours. It says, as events take on their own momentum, you take a true leap forward. Okay. Beautiful. So keep that message in mind as we draw your other cards. Actually, I'm going to put your pile leader up at the top rather to the left, just to make sure we have room for everything today. Now let's start with your oracle decks instead of tarot, which is my usual combination. I do tarot first with oracle, but we're going to do oracle first today. I'm calling on Spirit for our wonderful pile 3 for their highest best good. What's the empowering message you want them to know? Thank you. There we go. And my favorite oracle deck of all time, at least so far, we have the Lantern Oracle today. highly underrated deck, if you ask me. Okay, already. This one caught my eye. We'll take that. And last but not least, we have the Hero's Journey Oracle. Actually, we're going to take that one because it was really prominently just trying to flip forward. Okay, let's unveil your Oracle cards, pile 3. So we have Elky Oracle. She who grants wishes, Alis, with wish, desires, hope. Okay. Something about wishes, what we desire, what we're hoping for. And then the Kangaroo is talked about great leaps forward. Then from the Lantern Oracle today, we have Radical Self-Love, number 41. It says, we can only receive love to the extent that we unconditionally love and live the truth of ourselves. Beautiful message overall. I almost wonder if this might be a reading regarding some advice on you achieving a wish of yours or some progress that you're trying to make. Maybe you've been struggling with. Let's keep going. From the Hero's Journey, we have Weird is the New Cool, number 48. Boldly express your uniqueness. And look at that. We have 2 figures here, pile 3, that are clad in almost white to blue. And it's about loving ourselves as we are ourselves truly. So I think I already know where the advice is coming from, but we'll look at your tarot spread here too. Definitely a self-love message today is part of this. So, okay, Spirit, what else do you want to say to pile 3? There we go. Actually, I'm going to take these 2 together because they're like sticking. Number 4, and I feel like this one, number 5. Okay, thank you, Spirit. As for your tarot cards, pile 3, we have the Chariot reversed. Okay. Okay, that makes complete sense, pile 3. I literally was like, there's something about like progress or something with a wish of yours, and then we get the card as the inciting incident. I call it the first card that. The Chariot reverse tends to represent an area of life where we feel like we don't have control or we're not making the forward momentum that we want with something. Okay, so lots of synchronicity here. That's why I laughed. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then secondly, we have the Knight of Wands, taking action on a passion of ours. Maybe that's related to the wish that you've been seeking or been thinking about. I want to take action with a passion of mine. All right. And then we have the Two of Wands, more fire energy, plans for the future. Which way do we go? How do we chart our course? Then we have the Sun reversed. Okay. Can represent, especially with this particular position, maybe some advice regarding some light that you need, and light meaning a truth of some sort that will help you make this progress forward. Sun cards can also represent reversed, a time of unhappiness. We'll talk about that in a second. And last but not least, we have the Queen of Wands. Look at all these wands or sticks in this particular deck. Lots of fiery energy. So I think with the abundance of fire energy in this reading, pile 3, for most of you, this particular thing Spirit is referring to is regarding something that you're passionate about, because that's what fire represents in tarot. That can mean, a creative project of yours that's very associated with fire and tarot as creative projects, something that you're really ambitious about. Not so much necessarily in a career-minded way, although it might be related to your career. When I say ambition, it's something that's about like sometimes you have goals in terms of, I want this thing because then I'll get this resource, like a promotion because you want more money. An ambitious goal in this case with the energy of fire is, I want this thing because it speaks to my soul. It's more along those lines rather than outside like resource type goals. Okay. Another thing that this might be related to could be something to do with your confidence. That's another thing often associated with fire in tarot is our charisma, our confidence. How do we like radiate our personality out to others? Speaking of the sun and, radiate. And then, you had a lot of cards about being yourself and self-esteem. and self-love. Okay, that also relates heavily to confidence, right? So that's where a lot of the themes are coming forward, kind of drizzling through here from at least a first glance. Now, as I said, I think a lot of you are coming from a situation where you want to make progress on a goal or an ambition, speaking of that word, or a wish of yours, but something has been impeding your progress in terms of either like your control over the situation. That can be one way the chariot reversed manifests itself, or it could also be it's getting in your way in terms of like it's not, you wanted it to go in like a certain direction, but then almost like the huskies on the chariot here, all of a sudden maybe they go a different way and you're like, uh-oh, I was trying to steer the course in this direction, especially with that Two of Wands being the heart of the matter, because that is the card of making plans, charting our course, what direction we want to go in, okay? It's not due to a lack of effort on your part, pile 3, because I do see in the recent past you have the Knight of Wands, and the Knight of Wands is someone who takes action on their passions and their ambitions. You have been putting the work in towards this, I feel like, but for some reason, there's still that lack of control, or it's not going exactly the way you want it to, as I said, or it's like, maybe we need to rechart our course. Maybe we set out on our sails and we thought this current will take us this place. And then all of a sudden we start drifting this way. And then now we're like, okay, pause. Let's look at the stars. Let's look at the night sky. Where is Polaris? We got to find the North Star and get back this way to our true direction we're trying to look for. And so this reading and why it's empowering pile 3 is because Spirit is trying to give you that direction to help you chart that course towards that progress you're looking for and towards the wish that you're trying to achieve. Now, you already probably know where some of the advice is coming from in terms of Spirit helping you chart this course. Number 1, there is, as I said, a prevailing theme about being who you are, uniquely you, and radically self-loving who that person is. We'll look at your Lantern Oracle again. We'll read it. It says, we can only receive love to the extent that we unconditionally love and live the truth of ourselves. I think part of the mechanism, at least on the back end of things, maybe not the way that it at least seems to be, but part of the mechanism fueling this quote-unquote chaos or not going the right way you want it to or not as fast is because the universe is waiting for you to increase your confidence in yourself. Okay? There's something I think deep down with this situation where, especially too with all the fire cards you got, where confidence is the key. And two, like even when you look at, say, the Queen of Wands here, especially reversed as the outcome card, a Queen of Wands upright pile 3 is someone who is very confident in what they do, especially when it comes to internal confidence. It's not so much about how they project it outwards. That would be like a King of Wands, but a Queen of Wands is, well, not so much about how it comes off to others, but how it comes off to yourself. Maybe you almost feel like you don't deserve whatever this thing is. That can be a matter of self-love, because sometimes we, not necessarily self-sabotage, but sometimes we don't push enough for something, or we don't put ourselves out there enough for something because we might deep down have this fear of, well, what if I'm not good enough for this thing? Or what if I'm not good enough to achieve whatever this is. And so what that stems from pile 3 then would be advice to increase your self-love and your self-esteem in that area. Okay, that's because of that radical self-love card. And I think part of the mechanism here affecting it in the background is not just needing to love self more, but also because of the weird is the new cool card you got over here on the left. It says, boldly express your uniqueness. Part of what's impeding you too is you're not setting out a frequency high enough of your uniqueness. And what I mean when I say that is more about, and when I say authenticity, I'm not saying that you're like you have been fake, pile number 3, but if you were to even just tone up the dial a little bit more on your authenticity in this situation, that would help propel you forward on the plans that you're trying to get to somewhere, or the goal that you have in mind, the wish, etc. And I don't know why it is. For some of you, it might be different reasons. Why? Maybe you're not feeling 100% confident, or like maybe why there's an element of self-love needed here more. But whatever it is, whatever the reason, whatever the rhyme, Spirit is saying, please project your uniqueness and who you are and self-love out there more, because that is part of what will help you on the way. Okay. And let's see too, as events take on their own momentum, you take a true leap forward. I was just looking at your Kangaroo card again here, pile 3. I called you pile 2. As they take on their own momentum. And it's like that little trigger of greater authenticity, of greater honesty, of greater self-love. I think it'll affect more than just even what you're trying to accomplish. Like maybe as you come to this reading, you have a certain wish or goal in mind that you're thinking of. As I said, what this reading is about. You're like, oh, that's this thing in my life I've been trying to work towards. But I think another reason Spirit is saying this is not because they want to help you just with that particular goal or wish, but they want to help you overall with a lot of different goals and wishes in your life, because self-esteem and self-love can affect a lot of different things, and authenticity as well. It's one of those core pieces of ourself that can affect many different areas of our life. So when we work on those things and we improve them, pile 3, that has a really far-reaching ripple effect on not just our tangible goals, like I said, the thing maybe you thought of when I mentioned it, but just so many different things. Our relationships, it can be related to like our career. It can help us ripple effect wise in like our spirituality. It can help us in just pretty much every area of life. I could sit here and list them all day, but yes, because really that is the truth of things, pile 3, especially too when we revisit the sun reversed. The sun reversed, as I said, represents either something is not honest or something is not shining out its truth enough, hence authenticity. Can also be feeling like, our happiness has been dashed, because the sun can also represent happiness, or reversed, the opposite. So if you continue on the path you're on without working on self-love and self-esteem and broadcasting your uniqueness, it's saying that, at least in this snapshot of the timeline, that might lead you to that unhappiness and that lack of confidence and lack of, getting to what you want. But the beauty of Tarot Pile 3 is that it's a timeline, a snapshot of what could happen. And now by taking this advice into account, you can turn those reversals at the end here around. You can chart the other course, just like the 2 paths here in the 2 of Wands. You can see, maybe on camera, I'll show you. Instead of going on the path you've been going on, take a different one. And there you will find what you're looking for in terms of the momentum and the goal, the wish, etc. that you have in mind. Now, I do feel drawn to drawing more tarot cards, and specifically what I want to ask for you, pile 3, is from Spirit, if they can tell me more about reasons that they want you to work on these things, like outside of just like the intrinsic motivation in terms of like, oh, well, it's good and it'll have an overall good effect on your life to have, greater self-love in the situation and authenticity. Because I think what might help you with that is understanding like what's the tangible like reward here. So let's ask about that first. So Spirit, for their empowering message, in terms of tangible effects, especially related to the wish or the goal they have in mind, what will happen should they make this change? The tangible effects, the tangible ripple effect, so to speak. Okay, we have first up the 7 of Wands reversed. Okay, something about not needing to feel as defensive about things. I don't know if part of the self-esteem or self-love problems might stem from a feeling of like you having to have been defensive a lot. Maybe you were bullied a lot when you were younger. That can lead us to feel like we've been in situations where we had to defend ourselves a lot, and naturally can lead to us feeling less confident because, really what bullying does to people is a feeling of rejection, right? And then we have the 6 of Pentacles reversed, greater fairness in terms of distribution of wealth or resources, okay? And then we have the 2 of Pentacles, greater balance. Okay, so it's not just a tangible effect of you getting closer to your goal or like getting more control over your path, pile 3. The other tangible benefits of this, Spirit is saying, that are waiting for you after this change are as I said, number one, feeling like we need to defend ourselves less, okay, which is natural when we do gain greater confidence, because when we gain greater confidence and self-love, pile 3, things can't make us feel defensive as easily, okay? Like, we don't really, insults or jeers or what other people say bounces off of us more, because when we have self-love and confidence, we tend to have a tougher hide, okay? So that's what they mean there with the 7 of Wands reversed, I think. And then we have the 6 of Pentacles reversed, as I said. That indicates a time where maybe things have not been fair to us, or we haven't had equal distribution of resources given to us. That's another thing that confidence can affect, is making sure that, well, A, that we know what we're worth, and B, that we make sure we stand up for ourselves and letting other people know, hey, wait, I'm worth this. Because I wonder if maybe in a lot of your life recently, and maybe related to this goal, you've been having issues with people appreciating what you bring to the table, or like appreciating you for what you are, and like actually compensating you for it, especially when it comes to career and financial related things, because it is a Pentacles card, pile 3. If that is the case, that's another reason why you're being encouraged in this direction, okay? Because that will help you find the fairness that you're looking for in terms of resource distribution, okay? Or in terms of also charity is another word that you use with the 6 of Pentacles, okay? People just being nicer to you. And it's really sad, and I wish we lived in a world where, like, people were just automatically nice. But as we all know, like, that just unfortunately is not how the world works. Sometimes people will test you, especially if you're not necessarily coming off as confident. Sometimes people will see that as weakness, which, once again, I really wish they didn't, but, people suck sometimes. So sometimes, like, when you don't project confidence, pile number 3, like, people, as I said, unfortunately, like, sometimes they just walk over people they think don't have enough confidence. And it's really sad, but it works because of the mechanism of, they think, well, you're not going to stand up for yourself, so I don't fear any consequences for walking all over you. Which in that case, of course, then, doesn't reflect on them very well as a person. But it is within your power, though, pile 3, to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm not your doormat. Why are you walking all over me? I deserve more than this, okay? That's why Spirit is bringing out the 6 of Pentacles card. You do deserve more than this, okay? So that's another tangible effect here. And then we have the 2 of Pentacles, which is balance, juggling things easier, or more easily, I should say. I said easilier, more easily. And then also, too, it's balance in terms of finances as well. I think, especially for those of you this is work related, you'd be more fairly compensated as well because of the Abundance of Pentacles cards, but also things will be easier to juggle. It's kind of related to that tough skin, tough hide message I mentioned before, that just naturally makes everything easier when you are more confident, but at the same time, it's also easier for you, or will be, to juggle things internally because of when you have that greater confidence, that greater self-love, and 2, even with weird is the new cool, boldly expressing your uniqueness. When you put that out there, when you're more, or I should say less susceptible to the opinions of others, that naturally makes it easier to juggle things because you don't care as much about what other people think. Okay? It's a hell of a lot easier to juggle something if you're not worrying about the way it looks while you're juggling it, right? If you're just focusing on, well, here's me, these are the things I need to juggle, this is what I need to do. Much easier than, I gotta juggle this stuff, and I gotta worry about what does it look like to other people while I'm juggling it. If you toss that out, be like, who cares what they think? The juggling becomes a lot easier. Okay, so really what this empowering message is, pile number 3, is a nudge from Spirit that in order to get to the wish or the goals or the momentum forward that you're looking for, you need to stand up for yourself more. You need to have the greater self-love and confidence thing. I already talked about that ad nauseum, so I won't repeat that message too much. But, in summary, that is one of the main parts of this reading. Also shine your truth and who you are out there more, too. Radiate more about who you are out there, okay? Even if you don't feel necessarily confident in this situation or in general in life, sometimes it really is a fake it till you make it situation, okay? Just to use the old cliche, but it's true. Sometimes in order to be confident, or even until the point of that you get to confidence, faking it till you make it, at least make sure that other people don't walk all over you, okay? So just don't be afraid to defend yourself, pile 3. Don't be afraid to be who you are and project that out more, okay? And that will help you, I promise, on your goals and in you being treated more fairly. Maybe that even is the goal here, is you just want to be treated more fairly by the people around you, okay? So then your key to that door, opening it, is don't care about what they think. Okay, that's the true confidence, is I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I don't care what other people think. All right? What do you care about? What do you think about yourself, pile 3? What do you like about yourself? Okay, those are the questions to ask yourself for today. So embody more of that Queen of Wands energy. So if, in summary, like if you want even more advice, pile 3, look up the meaning of the Queen of Wands in totality, which, I mean, I can tell you here as a tarot reader, it means, generally a feminine figure who is either a fire sign and, is confident and charismatic, right? But look it up in totality, the Queen of Wands. All right? And embody that more. That's your advice or your North Star card for today, okay? So, there's your empowering message from Spirit today, pile number 3. I hope, of course, most of all, number 1, that it helped you. That's what I care about the most with our readings. But, of course, 2, that you liked it and it resonated with your situation. If so, here's my usual little YouTube spiel. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill. Thank you so much if you choose to do those things as well. And in our tradition, as always, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, pile 3, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye.